Hello, everybody, and welcome to another video. My name is Marcy Melzer from wavesofcommunication.com, and I'm an intuitive speech and language pathologist and language facilitation consultant. And today, on one of my classic videos, every week I do these live Q&A videos. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what parents need to know about unusual toy play. So it's not uncommon for parents to see their late talking kids using toys in unusual ways. They don't play with things in the traditional sort of way. And what happens is parents often get confused and they try to stop their kids from playing in this way, or they don't even understand why it happens and they're not really sure how to play with their kids. So because it's such a common phenomenon thing that happens, I have for you 7 things that you need to know as a parent of a child who plays with toys in unusual ways. And I've got 7 different things because I've picked 7 different reasons that kids play with toys in unusual ways to help you spot maybe your child uses 1 or 2 of these different things. And if your child is playing with toys in these ways, maybe these facts that I have today will help you understand why it's going on and how you can use this communication behavior to help your child shift from whatever they're doing nonverbally into spoken language, because that's my goal, is to help parents shift the nonverbal communication. And all behavior is communication. And if we're talking about unusual toy play behavior, that's what we're analyzing here on this video. So that's what we're going to get started with on this video. And of course, as usual, I've got some videos to share. So settle in so I can get ready to talk to you about these. And the first thing I want you to do is like this video. It's super helpful for me if you like it and you share it out with your friends. These strategies videos are always the most popular ones because I really hit on the things that parents are thinking about. And that's the other thing I want to share with you. This is a live Q&A. So if you're watching me live, even if you're watching on the replay, I could get to your question next time. But for sure, if you've been working with me, if you've been reading my book, if you've taken my independent study course online, and you have questions about what's going on with your child, these weekly videos are a great way for you to check in, say hello, ask a question about what you've been doing with your child. And then at the end of my topic, I'll go ahead and get to those questions. So I will be looking for those questions also on this video. All right, now let's get into the topic. As usual, I know I always get started with everything, but let's get started with the first thing you need to know. And that is that children of all ages, that means adults age children too, explore new toys with our senses. And they learn how they can use this toy for their own fun. And this baby, she doesn't really know what this is. It's not even necessarily even a toy. It looks maybe like a decoration, but she's certainly interested in it. She's playing with it. She's shaking it around. I'm surprised in this video she doesn't put it in her mouth, but that's really an indicator when you watch this baby, how she is learning with her hands. She's not a mouther. She doesn't put things in her mouth, but she was shaking it a lot. And maybe these things, those little peppers, she was trying to see if they made noises. She could have been looking to see how they move. Remember, all of your senses are involved when we play, because especially kids who are nonverbal, their listening skills are not so great. So they end up spending a lot of time using their hands, and they listen for noises and patterns versus words. They'll listen to the same thing over and over and over again. All of the different senses are involved. So when you watch your child playing, see what senses they're using to have fun. What senses are they relying on? What senses are they not using or maybe turning off? And in a lot of kids' cases, like I said, in babies, they'll even use their mouths to feel and taste things and explore with their mouth. If your child's putting a lot of things in their mouth, that is an unusual way to play with toys as you get older. But babies explore things by putting them in their mouth all the time. So it doesn't matter how old your child is. If one or another sensory avenue, vision, touch, taste, putting things in your mouth, licking it, feeling it, laying on it, squishing it with your body, manipulating it with your fingers. Those kinds of things are the way your child typically explores. Then they're going to look for toys that resemble, that allow them to do those things. All right. The second thing that you need to know about working with these, working with unusual behaviors, okay, especially with late talking children, is that they really enjoy movement. So they will often seek toys that they can manipulate and carry around. And this little guy, he isn't even looking so much at the flower, like it's making noise or moving around up there, but he really cares about turning that dowel. He wants to just focus on turning and turning and turning. He's not even looking at it, but he's feeling it with his fingers. He figured out how to get it in the container. He figured out how to make it move with his fingers. And then look at his other hand over here. I'm going to show the video one more time. So you can see in this other hand, even though he's manipulating something there with his left hand, trying to get that pole in so he can turn and turn and turn and turn it, he's got that shovel firmly gripped in his right hand, this little rake thing, and he's not letting that thing go. He's holding on to it. And see, late talking kids who aren't very good at listening or playing with toys normally, they like to manipulate things in their own way. And they often will hold on to something literally as a way to manipulate it, carry it around with them. So if your child is doing these things, looking at everything you give them, they fiddle it. They take it apart. That's why fidget spinners came into play, because a lot of late talking kids like to manipulate and fiddle with things with their hands. That's why they flap. That's why they move their hands. My friend Ben, who's 14, he'll pull apart Legos and put them together. They like to manipulate things. And it might not be the way that that game is supposed to be played. So if your child is sticking together Legos and pulling them apart, you've got 500 Legos and all they care about is those two, and sticking them apart and putting them together and sticking them apart and putting them together. That would be an unusual potentially way to play with that toy. And what you have to realize is, why is your child doing that manipulation? Why do they like it? Why are they doing that particular one? Why do they not like spinners versus stickers versus, matching, stacking, whatever they like to do with those things? Watch how they do it. It may not even be conscious that they're playing with that toy. They could be using it for a soothing behavior. So you have to understand why the behavior exists with that toy, and get out of your head that there is a right way to play, because your child is finding the right way to play for them with their senses from the second they have contact with that toy. It's all about them and how they're exploring. So if you can kind of guess where I'm going here, there really is no wrong way to play with toys. But if it's unusual or not typical of the way that toy is used, then parents have an opportunity in these situations to look at what's going on. Here's another thing that often kind of can freak parents out. Excuse me. Kids who are late talking, they often use their eyes to find fun in creative ways. This little girl found a sun ray, and she's making patterns with her hands, and she's looking at how the sun goes on her hands, and she's looking at the wall and seeing the shadow that it made. And she's just standing there looking at it, contemplating, what can I make? What's going to happen? What does it look like? And she's not sharing those things with anybody else except for just thinking about it in her head and making those pictures with her hands. And in her head is something else entirely going on outside of what you see, because all you see is her hands making shadows on the wall. In her head is an amazing visual imagery of what she's trying to do. She might just be interested in looking at the swooshes in the change in the light. She might not be trying to make a bird or a dog or a car or whatever. And when kids are playing in not the usual ways, because most people who have language, they would automatically try to put just those movement kinds of things to just enjoy the light and look at the patterns as something that has some kind of language meaning. Like, oh, you're making a bird, or that looks like an airplane, or that looks like clouds. They try to put some language with these abstract concepts that a child's just trying to bring into their everyday 3D world. Because otherwise it's in their head. They're imagining the swooshes and the nice kind of visuals that they enjoy, and they're trying to create them themselves. And if that looks unusual to you, It's very helpful for you to put yourself in the child's perspective. When they're smiling about making these actions with their hands that seem random, figure out what it's all about. For them, what are they thinking about? If they're just thinking about this feels nice, then that is what you talk about when you see it. Oh, look at how happy you are. You're making shadows on the wall. That looks cool. You can use abstract kind of things to talk about it if you don't know what it is really. Wow. Cool. Amazing. That's wonderful. Because if your child's just looking and focusing on it, in their head is not thinking, this is a bird, that's an airplane, it's a cloud. They're thinking, that looks cool. This is wonderful. What a neat experience I'm having. Look at how the light shines on the wall. They're just thinking about that. They're not trying to turn it into some kind of language. And parents, you can mess up this kind of level of concrete talking about the actual things that they're creating on the wall if you try to put more language into it than you are assuming. So it's all about seeing this from your child's perspective, all of this play, because if you're seeing it from your perspective and it seems unusual to you, then you're not seeing it from the child's perspective because it's not unusual to your child at all. They chose to use this play behavior, right? Okay, let's move into the next one that I want to talk to you about. And that is, we talked a little bit before about how kids have these ideas in their head, this visual imagery, right? Late talking kids, especially those who watch videos, they read books, they see things, they remember, they memorize their favorite scenes, and they keep those images, those little movies in their head, and they see them in their mind's eye. They might be looking at an airplane in this kid's case, but they could be thinking about a spaceship that they saw. They could be looking at even a pencil or a car or anything that's flying around, and they are thinking about something more expansive. They're using a very simple thing. So it could even be a pen that kiddo was flying across his eyeballs. And he's thinking about the video he saw about rocket ships or about sharks swimming or about anything, because he's trying to recreate that in the real world using these objects, these toys as objects, right? So that's the other thing that I wanted to let you know. Kids will use the visuals over listening, but this visual, this mental imagery that they have is far more complex inside, and they don't have language for all of it. You know, they're thinking the shark is moving slowly through the water as they think in their head about a slow moving animal, but they don't know the language for the shark is moving slowly through the water. The shark is looking vicious. The shark is looking like a predator now. The shark is looking for fish to eat. You know, they're thinking those things because they saw in a video a shark going after food. They saw a shark moving slow. They saw a shark smiling on a cartoon thinking, I am happy and looking for food, because right after they saw that, they saw a shark gobbling up a fish. So they know what's coming next because they make the movie in their head. But you don't know what they're thinking. It's all in their imagination. And so what's a really good way to understand when kids look unusual is everything they're playing out is all in their head, right? And so what they will do, moving into the next one, is that they will use these toys to try to recreate the visuals that they love. So someone told this kiddo to stack toys, stack blocks or whatever, and he's stacking blocks and he stacked the blocks, but that's not really what he wanted to do. He wanted to make a slide out of these blocks. So he's changed it. He took the stacking away and he's making this slide. And in fact, putting it together so it looks very much like the slide he is thinking about, maybe that he went on the playground to do. And he's using his imagination to try to manipulate these toys to make an image of the thing that he is thinking about. And that's what a lot of late talkers do. And they'll use these objects to just recreate somehow with the things around them, the images that they want to see. And this happens a lot with kids who see a lot of video and then you take them off video and they're hardcore no video anymore. Then they're going to look for things like if they see, and here's another good example. So if they are used to seeing things that are busy. Sorry. This is another one. This is when kids line up toys. So kids might use these toys. Like let's say they love ABCs and they love shapes and they love those shapy rhymes. What they'll do is they will use their toys to create the lines and shapes to make these organized visuals that comfort them because they're not seeing their videos anymore. Their ABC rhyme videos because you're taking them off of those because you want to teach them more language, but they still love those things and they're still thinking about those scenes, the number 1 bouncing across, the number 2 bouncing across, and they will formulate those A's and circles, and if they'll make the shapes around themselves. This is actually one of the reasons that I did this video. One of the other moms on my platform asked this question. Her child lines all of her toys and circles himself inside of them and makes a circle and is inside the circle because who knows, maybe that child really loves shapes and the shapes around them, they feel comforted because they get to see the things they love even though you've taken it away. You won't let them see the video because they always crave those things and they will find ways to create them themselves. Here's another example. The other one that I was thinking about is this loose toys, right? When you look at them and you watch them scattering around on a table or dropping down, they allow kids to create a visual, and he's even yelling, ah, while he scatters these things around and all the toys are gone and wiping them out. And this is what kids can use in their life to actually visualize things like explosions that they see in cartoons or, super fast moving cars and trains that fly by and things moving really fast. If they drop things or scatter things or make things move in a really chaotic manner, that is how you know that they're trying to recreate those same visuals. So they'll build things, that you've got Legos that you're trying to teach your child how to build a tower and they're over here making ABCs out of them. You can't get them out of those ABCs. So the thing when you see your child taking toys and trying to manipulate them into their way to play instead of the usual way to play is you understand the reason behind it so that you can talk about those things that they are interested in because they're obsessed. They're focused on it. If you want them to teach something new, you've got to find a way to connect those things. That's a whole nother topic. But with this play, a lot of parents will just stop kids from doing those kinds of things because they do it too much and they want them to learn something different. But you can't stop a child's interest. You can't say stop liking grape Kool-Aid if your child always wants to drink grape Kool-Aid. Stop liking sleeping, stop liking something that is a fundamental for you, right? Stop liking your naps every afternoon. When parents try to break kids out of habits that they're in a long time because they think they've grown out of the habits, this is one of those habits that parents try to break kids out of, is trying to get them to play with toys in some sort of standard way when kids are really using far more imagination when they play with things in unusual ways, okay? So think about the visual that your child is trying to create with their situation. So that's it. All right, let's see. One more I wanted to show you. Let's move on. Oh, yeah. So here's the other reason we talked about this already, too, that kids will use these repetitive stim toys to calm and quiet their minds. Okay. So what happens is these kids, like I said, their imagination runs nonstop 24/7. They could be looking at videos. They could be looking for videos. If they're not having videos anymore, they could be trying to make up videos in their head or trying to make their own YouTube videos with themselves, with their toys, even with some of those things. But a lot of times kids who are nonverbal, And especially if they're in some kind of therapy where they're directed and questioned and prompted a lot, like if they're prompted at school all day and then they come home and you're prompting them at home, kids will use these toys in unusual ways to just escape from the ongoing chugga, 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 chugga in their head, right? Between other people telling them what to do. Did I get the right answer? Did I do the right thing? Have I said the right thing? What do I have to do to get the thing I want? Because I don't have words and I got to figure out some way to get those cookies up in the cabinet. When they're thinking about crafting their problem solving and all that stuff, it's a never-ending journey, a never-ending mind situation, going all the time. And kids will need to check out. That's why they crash. That's why they sit in the corner and stare at things and lay on the floor and just line things up and get calm, right? Because they use this play with all their senses, that they explore with all their senses, to help them regulate, to help them feel calm. And that's why we play, right? Is to stimulate our mind. And think about when you love to watch things like sand and water falling down, or you watch whatever ASMR videos, anything like that. You're trying to calm your mind from thinking about all the things that you think about every day, all the things that other people come at you with all day, every day. That's why you choose those toys. And your child chooses them for the same way. Now, some toys are very typical for those, like those sand things and water things, but other kids will use other toys like dropping. They like to watch things fall, so they'll drop everything. They drop blocks, they drop water, they drop stones, they drop everything. And that's an unusual way to play, but it's all about the dropping, right? And when you learn what it is about the toy that your child loves, then you can shift them into a more appropriate toy for that same stimulation. So if they're dropping everything, then get them toys that they can appropriately drop or watch fall. And then you won't have them dropping eggs in the refrigerator, because that's what happens. Kids love to watch things fall, and unless parents understand the root behind this unusual behavior, they clean up messes all the time. Water falling, eggs falling, dirt falling, things throwing out windows, right? Kids will constantly seek that stuff as play because it soothes them. It makes them feel good. That's why we play, because we enjoy it, right? If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And we're talking about play here. Other parents who turn play into work, you're going to get your kids to run away with you and play on their own, right? We're going to get into that. The next two things I'm going to tell you about are what you can do, all right? Let me just see about comments here. I heard astrology. Hi, Oleana. Hi. Thank you so much. Play-Doh's huge in your house. That's wonderful. As long as you are just watching the imagination around it and talking about what your kids play, don't interfere with their play. Don't try to stop them from doing this. It's just all about what you're going on. So let's see. You have to find a way to bridge the obsession. It's true. You do, but you can't shut it off. I mean, you have to find a way to work with it. Any obsession about kind of weird play, I mean, that's what's going to happen. You think it's weird, but your child is obsessed. Okay. If you tried a new herbal tea for the first time and it caused you to lose 5 pounds, you get obsessed with this herbal tea and then you start drinking it all the time. And if people say, why are you still doing that herbal tea thing? You're like, leave me alone. I like it. It works for me. That's how your kids are doing play. Right? Think about this attitude. Are you trying to stop your kids? Are you trying to guide their play? Are you trying to teach during their play? Or are you just letting them enjoy themselves? Okay? Because this unusual play all has a reason. There's always, always, always a reason. It's not random. It's not random. Okay? If kids put a lot of things in their mouth, check their iron, check their levels, check their stuff, because these are symptoms of things that are unusual. And if you think unusual play is crossing the line from easy, happy, safe, or fun, then you have to look for blockages, physiological blockages. Like I said, checking their chemistry. Are they missing minerals in their life that they're literally eating dirt and rocks to find? Because kids will do that. Okay. There's lots of research around all of this. So I heard astrology. Marcy, you're amazing. I want to say you are a late talking child whisperer, but really, I think you are a parent whisperer. Thank you so much. It's true. I love working with kids, but I feel like my gift is working with parents. And that's why my platform completely changed away from this whole idea of some professional helping your child learn to talk when it's so much easier and more natural when parents follow these strategies. All right, so here's how it goes. This is exactly what I'm talking about right here, is how parents can help kids. When you model how to play with your own toy, like the little guy, he isn't touching his truck at all. He's playing with his own. He got those marbles out. He gave them to the boy. The boy spilled them. They went all over. The dad didn't stop. He didn't go pick them all up. He just gave them back to the boy so that he could play his way. And the dad was just modeling the kinds of things to do with those. You might put them in this way. You might take them here. Do you want these? Do you want to play with these things? And offer your child things to play. If they want to take them from you, great. If they don't, they won't. But if you show them how to play fun in a new way, a different way than they're playing, your way, because remember, they're playing their way. If you think you should play with trucks in a different way, show your child how you play with trucks. If you think your child should manage that fidget spinner in a new way, show them how you fidget spin. If you want your child to color and draw and doodle on the whiteboard with their white marker, you show them how you do it. How is it fun to play with white markers? And then they might like your ideas or they might not like them, because what's fun for you might not be fun for your child, and what's fun for your child might not be fun for you. Everybody finds their own fun based on our sensory systems. And if a child's not a very good listener, then they're going to want videos that have a lot of visual stimulation, that are simple for them to understand, that don't have a lot of talking. That's going to stimulate them. But you have to understand, if you want language from your child, it's up to you to provide those language models. You can't rely on the videos, because your child's going to choose videos with no talking. You can't rely on other people, because other people are going to prompt your child. You have to do it yourself, because parents are the ones to put the language in, so that when other people prompt your child, they'll pull it out. They're going to ask your child questions. This is what I say over and over and over again to my clients. Just watching their kids, therapists and teachers are the ones that try to change how kids play and how kids learn, that there is some standard way that there is to learn anything. And there is no standard way. There are lots of good ideas that work for lots of people, and they do. Those standards that they put into schools, they work for a lot of kids, but they have special education with alternatives and accommodations, because those same general strategies that work for most kids don't work for some. And even some of those ones that work with some of those kids don't work for others of those kids, that the main ones don't work for. That's why parents have IEP meetings, individual education plan meetings, where you work with the system that teaches your child to accommodate their way of learning. That's how special education is done properly, to specialize the education to meet the child's needs, not specialize the child to meet the education center's needs. So the same is true for play. Same is true for play. If your child is doing play in an unusual way, here's a pile of dirt. This child is just dumping dirt, two-handed dirt, reaching behind him, grabbing dirt, just pouring dirt with his hands, doesn't want to use a shovel, doesn't want to use anything. If your child is playing in an unusual way, learn why they find it fun, not in what way, shovel, no shovel. Why? Why does the child want to use his hands? Why are they doing it? And facilitate the language they need to talk about it, where the child says, no, thank you, shovel. I like the dirt on my hands. I like to feel it. I like it when my hands are dirty. Give me some water so I can make mud over here. I want to play in the dirt with my hands. I like dirty hands. Some kids hate dirty hands, don't want to touch it. I like the shovel. Give me the shovel. You will see how the way your child plays. And then you'll be able to use those things to help your child to talk about the way they like to play, not the way you think they should play, or the teacher thinks they should play, or the box, or the whatever. I mean, think about hackers who play video games. There's a way those designers made to play them, but literally there are people's jobs to break those methods, right? Just to find the new way, to find the faster way, to find the easier way, to find all the hidden things that they put in those video games. Very sophisticated people who are super smart and use the big creative parts of their brain, they play in unusual ways. The smartest people play in unusual ways. Okay? Unusual ways. So the unusual things that your child uses to play are bringing out their brilliance. It's bringing out their superpowers, right? So I'm going to use Ben as an example again, my friend Ben Blanchett, who has a superpower of perfect pitch. He pulls out all the glasses from the cabinet, fills them up with water, and plays songs on them. That's an unusual way to play. But his mom had to figure out, okay, when Ben's in the mode to make music with stuff around the house, he's literally using glasses to make music, playing with things in an unusual way. And it's fabulous. It's fabulous. His music teachers are taking that skill and he's playing that on multiple instruments now, in addition to the glasses, right? And that's because when Ben's mom and the people who work with him offer him something, like this dad did with the truck. When you offer this play to your child and you let them explore it, like the first baby shaking those things around, you let those kids explore the toys that you give them in their way. Just watch them and see how they do and parallel play with them. Show them how you play with the toy. Look how I do it. I find fun this way. Your child might go, oh, that's cool. I'll try that and imitate you. That might make you real happy. Or if you're playing with the toy and your child goes, nope, don't like it, they pick up the toy and literally walk away from you. They might feel pressure. They might feel some kind of anticipation that you're going to change how they play to make them want to play like you. So this is a very important point when you're playing and parallel playing and playing with your child. In the zone, you're thinking about the same thing at the same time. And if your child is thinking, I don't want you taking my toys, I don't want you manipulating me, I like the movie in my head and I want to keep it my way, and you're trying to change things up, they're gonna leave. They're gonna pack up their story, their imagination, their language facilitation zone, and they're gonna take it somewhere else because they can play in their head by themselves with a pen flying like this and imagine that it's a rocket ship or a shark or whatever they want. Their imaginations are fabulous. It's just all stuck in there. They aren't talking about it because they don't have spoken language, but they're thinking about it. And when you get in that zone, that language facilitation zone, and you know they're in the fantasy world of flying dragons or slow moving sharks or whatever they're doing, that's when you can teach them the language that they're thinking about that matches those movies in their head, the unusual things that they are thinking about. If you match your spoken language models to what they are thinking about in the language facilitation zone, you're going to facilitate language. They're going to want to try that stuff. They're going to definitely want to try to say that stuff. And the parents who are doing this know that it works. You know that it works. And the other trick that I'm going to throw on top of that is while you're doing this kind of play, slow your speech. As slow as you think you're talking, slow it down even more, because your kids are not going to be ready. They're not going to be used to listening to you talk with this descriptive kind of play to talk about what your experience is while you are playing with the toy. Look at this shark. My shark is moving slow. My shark is looking sinister. He's looking for fish. I wonder where he will find the fish. You just dictate the movie that you're making, your imagination movie. That's why when you tell your kids stories with the storybooks, you don't have to read the story. Talk about your imagination. When you're in the zone, your child joins you in your fantasy world. When you tell stories about your everyday life, using the toys around you, because this is what your child is doing. This is exactly what your child is doing, but they don't have speech. All they've got is their body and the things around them, the toys that they have to manipulate. So that's what this is all about. So, hey, Tiffany, so thank you for joining me. I'm so glad that you think this is great, because I always aim to help parents. That's my job, is to help all of you teach your kids how to shift all the behavior that you might think other people might think is unusual, weird, different. That's where the most amazing imagination on ideas come from. Pretend play is my favorite language facilitation strategy because kids have the imagination behind it, and parents do too. But a lot of them give up that imagination for that structured stuff. You got to fit the A and the square and the square peg, square hole. No alternative anything. And I hate for that to be for you guys. Have fun with this. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions today. Really quick, if you have questions, everything you say resonates. Elani says, everything you resonates so much with me for both of my ASD kids. I'm so glad. That's the whole point of this video. So if this video resonates with you, please give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. I'm live twice a week doing live Q&A where you can visit my page and check everything out. Come back here, ask questions, get new tips, because every single video I do is designed to equip and empower all of you out there, parents, caregivers, daycare providers, grandparents, everybody who has a late talking child in your life. It can be a language facilitator and help that child naturally during the things that you're already doing together while you have fun. Every language facilitation strategy, easy, happy, safe, and fun. If you want to learn how to be a language facilitator, there are more than 300 videos here on my YouTube channel. You can learn for free. If you want to get more guided, I have a book on Amazon called If It Isn't Fun, It Isn't Fun. Teach your child to talk faster than speech therapy. The link is in the description. And I also have an independent study program, and I have a parent coaching program. So you can join on my website, wavesofcommunication.com. Book a call to have a strategy call with me to learn more about how I can work with you. I don't put anybody in my coaching program without talking to you first about exactly how I can help you teach your child to shift from whatever they're using now for communication into spoken language within 3 to 6 weeks. You'll see new spoken language if your child meets all these criteria and you follow language facilitation strategies. It works for every parent who follows the strategies, and you can do it too. Thanks again for watching me, everybody. I appreciate your attention on this video. I'll be back again on Thursday with another video over on Facebook, and back here again on Mondays at noon Eastern Time live for more language facilitation. Thanks again for joining me, and bye for now.